There were Western hats, scores of them, in a certain quarter of New York City this weekend. Madison Square Garden hosted the rodeo for the first time since 1975. Reporter Paul Aaron spoke with cowboys and with New Yorkers living out their cowboy fantasies.
I think it's more like a happening here with New York.
Yeah, it's more like a trend, you know. It's all urban cowboys. So great. All the urban cowboys are coming to the rodeo this year. The Ralph Lauren Cowboys.
Do you think that's more New York than...
Of course it's New York. I mean, people have been dressing like this for years in Texas, but they don't have to spend $30 on a flannel shirt, $40 on a flannel shirt. They spend $8.
I asked her companions, also dressed in Western clothes, what they do for Western entertainment.
Country Western bars.
Where do you go in New York?
Cody's, Annie Oakley's, Rodeo, Lone Star.
What is it, the idea of dancing and listening to music, or just...
Two-step.
Texas two-step, the Cotton Eye Joe.
That's right.
Has anybody ridden the mechanical bull?
We're on our way.
Try it?
Yeah.
Hey. Good luck. How do the competing cowboys and cowgirls feel about being in New York? I asked one Florida cowboy how he unwinds in the Big Apple.
Well, I sat there in the motel room and I watched television. I watched Dallas if it's on.
So what do you think of New York cowboys who dress in designer jeans?
Well, if you're talking about the urban cowboys, I don't like it myself. It makes the damn prices go up too much on the hats, the jeans, and the boots, and just everything, and the women.
Did you see the film Urban Cowboy?
Did I see it? It wasn't worth a damn.
What was bad about the film?
It wasn't the real life of a cowboy.
And you
it was just a midnight cowboy, if you only ask me, you know, about a bar and a bucket machine, and that's it. It wasn't nothing.
What's your rodeo special?
I ride bulls and I ride bareback horses.
Would you feel safer riding a bull or walking down New York streets?
Riding a bull.
You would?
That's right. New York scares me.
What would you like to say to the people out there about New York?
Well, I love New York. From what I've been here about 5.5, 6 hours. I like New York, but I just don't like the driving. That scares me.
For this evening, that's All Things Considered.
We had reports tonight from public stations WUHY in Philadelphia and WFSU in Tallahassee, Florida.
KVLU Beaumont, KUHF Houston, KERA Dallas, and we are broadcasting from KUT in Austin. Our production team here, Chris Koch, Joe Maglino, Gary Cavino, John McChesney, and D. Clark Wells. Technical producer Andy Rosenberg, help from engineer Dan Martos.
Our program's edited by Ted Clark and directed by Maury Schlesinger.
Our funds from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. In Austin, Texas, I'm Susan Stamberg.
I'm Sanford Unger in Washington. Good evening, for All Things Considered.
NPR.
No,
Again?
Susan. So it's NPR.
What was it? Do the P again?
P.
P.
NPR.
NP. I'm still not getting it. This is NPR, National Public Radio.
65 miles per hour.
Sid Finch.
Yeah.
All right.
The curious case of Sid Finch. Well, it's not over yet. It's not over, and you'll hear why on McCann's New York. The only thing that doesn't begin with a G on McCann's New York tonight is Cowboy Joe. And I'm not telling you any more.
All right. Good program. Rome.
WMCA, the station you can call on. 570 WMCA.
mean, even the dog didn't want to go out for a walk today. This is Patricia McCann, McCann's New York 570 WMCA this Saturday night. And this Saturday night, I want you to know, is a night of festivals, and we're going to cover two of them. And both of them start with a G. The Greek Festival of Festivals, the first one of its kind in this country, and it's right here in Queens. And the Gilroy Garlic Festival, the only one of its kind in California. And I mean, you will not believe what they don't put garlic in at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. Later on, Cowboy Joe is going to drop by in his Wrangler jeans and his Justin boots. He was born and raised right here in the East, and all Cowboy Joe does is dream about the West.
Out in Arizona where the bad men are, and the only friend to guide you is an evening star. The roughest, toughest man by far is ragtime Cowboy Joe.
This is Patricia McCann. Of course, you're tuned in to McCann's New York 570 WMCA. And our next guest tonight is Cowboy Joe. Actually, let me tell you a little bit more about him. Not too many cowboys named Paul Aaron who live in apartment 5F somewhere on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Paul Aaron likes to call himself Cowboy Joe. He's with us tonight because McCann's New York loves to explore the richness of this town when it comes to some of its characters. Cowboy Joe. What do you know, Cowboy Joe?
Not much. I certainly am a character, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, Patricia. I love that song.
Yes, I know you do. I think that that is the theme of your life song.
Yeah, I imagine when they erect a gravestone for me or a tombstone, it'll say he died while listening to Ragtime Cowboy Joe or because of Ragtime Cowboy Joe.
Well, I mean, if you can possibly manage or handle telling the story once again of how this all happened, because I mean, you were born in New Jersey, right?
Well, technically, I was born in New York and then migrated to Jersey, and then found out that the suburban life wasn't for me, so I traveled out west, went to college out in Colorado, Wyoming. I've been on a cattle drive in Wyoming. I've been on ranches in Texas this past year. I've been all over the place. But I've always had a real fondness for the American West, for the beauty of the geography, the smog over Denver, the
no, but really, when did it grab hold of you? Cowboy Joe. When did it just, wrap itself right around you?
I think after You know, it's hard to say. I've always loved the American West, but I've only been into the music the last 10 years. I actually hated country music. I hated steel guitar. I hated fiddle. I hated people who sounded like they were from the country because I was from the suburbs.
Yeah.
But slowly I made a transition to just hearing some Western swing music and just getting turned on to that music and consequently getting turned on to the Western lifestyle. And so that...
One thing led to another?
One thing led to another, but if I could go back 10 years ago and say that I'd be into this Western kick, I would tell somebody, you're crazy.
I mean, how Western is your life here in the East?
Well, as much as possible. I mean, I wear Wrangler jeans, Justin Ropers. I wear a Concho belt. I'm wearing the silly D&D ranch wear and Farm Supply in Seguin, Texas. I wear a big belt buckle. I go horseback riding every chance I get.
I was gonna ask you if you could ride a horse.
I can definitely ride a horse. By New York standards, I'm an expert. By Texas standards, I may be a greenhorn. But, hey, I love it, and I'm trying to get people in the New York area hooked on to the Western music because I do play traditional Western music, not the Hollywood, Nashville crossover pop stuff. You know, the thing is, it's like Dolly Parton, who used to sing country, and when she wants to sing country, she is country, but when she records pop, she's pop. The same with me. I've been into the traditional country music and lifestyle. I want to become rich. And so far, I haven't become rich doing this stuff. That's because I love it.
Ah, well, you know, I don't think of cowboys as wanting to become rich.
Well, I'm the exception. So
you're a New York cowboy.
People are, you know, I've still been yuppified by New York enough to know that I want to be able to afford the most expensive belt buckle I can get.
A first yuppie cowboy, folks. You heard it on McCann's New York 570 WMCA. Well, it's funny because I think one thing that you may not, or you may know about Cowboy Joe is Actually, he's competition in a sense. I mean, he's got his own radio show, and it starts at high noon, from high noon to 2 p.m. on alternate Sundays, I think.
Yes. Yes.
And it's on, why not? I might as well tell him. I'm a generous soul. WCK.
No. WKCR.
WKCR. Whoops.
FM 89.9. But I have to tell you, I won't be on this Sunday. I'll be on the following Sunday.
Okay.
That's the trick.
I'll make sure to remind them about that.
Thank you.
But what do you do on a show like? And does anybody listen?
People listen. I get calls from within 100 miles of New York. People do like that music. People think of New Yorkers as not really knowing the music, but strange as it may seem, my biggest fans are those that are from out west who live in New York. I get the most support from them.
That's great.
There's something about New York that, oh boy, when I get away from it, it's just like when I go horseback riding 60 miles away, even 60 miles away, the people are different. And New York seems like a different world, like it doesn't even exist in my mind. And then I can tell I'm coming back to New York because when we're driving up Route East on Route 78 towards Newark, my eyes start to bulge out of my head and my contacts start to dry out. And I have to use the drops. I know I'm coming back to New York, coming towards Newark. I mean, you can't tell how good it is away from New York until you come back to New York and your eyes pop out of your head.
Right. Well,
I really shouldn't say this.
I love
New York.
It's perfectly all right. That's good. I'm glad you added that because, after all, you are on McCann's New York, and all I can say.
Here we go. That
here
song
we
is
go.
coming again.
Go ahead, sing with it.
Star, the roughest, toughest. This is too. I prefer the Wyoming fight song. It's coming. Joe, he got his name from singing to the cows and sheep. Every night they say he sings the herd to sleep. In a bass voice, rich and deep. Here it comes. Crooning soft and low. He always sings, ragging music to the cattle as it swings. Back and forward in the saddle on a
You're tuned to McCann's New York. You may not believe it, but you're listening to 570 WMCA.
How they run.
Swings back and forward in the saddle on a horse, big horse. You syncopate a gator and you want to hear the meter to the roar of his repeater. How they run, just run. Hear him come because the western folks all know he's a highfalutin, rootin' tootin' son of a gun from old Wyoming. Ragtime cowboy, talk about your cowboy. Ragtime cowboy Joe. For information, that's the University of Wyoming marching band.
Oh, it is. And Wyoming is declared you a genuine cowboy.
Bucking bronco.
Yeah, Cowboy Joe's with us, folks. I'm Patricia McCann. Yeehaw. Feeling awful Eastern tonight on this Western show.
Yes.
And Cowboy Joe is alias Paul Aaron, and he's got his own radio show, does Cowboy Joe, and he plays cowboy swing music, but he also does other things. You go out into the field. I mean, you've been caught.
I literally go out in the field and go horseback riding, and I try and promote the Western lifestyle. But last March, I went down to Texas to record interviews with authentic cowboys, and one of the most interesting characters I ran into is Red Mulholland, who lives in Flatonia, Texas, is a saddle maker in Yoakum, Texas. Speaking about town in Texas, Yoakum.
Right. Yoakum.
And is a rough character. I mean, when I interviewed him, he was wearing purple cowboy boots. And he said that he made a pair of cowboy boots for this guy, and his friend said if he didn't like him, Red could keep them. So Red purposely made them the most atrocious color purple.
Okay, Red Mulholland.
And I can't believe that Red would actually come from Texas to New York like this.
Hey, Red.
Hey.
Hey, Red Mulholland, you're down in Flatonia, Texas tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have your purple boots on, Red?
No, the bottom fell out of them.
I think the bottom fell out of your life, but that's besides. But how you doing, Red?
Pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
Okay. How hot is it in Texas tonight?
I don't think I ought to say that on public radio.
Well, how hot? 95 degrees, 100?
Huh?
How hot? Is it 100 degrees today?
Close to it.
Yeah?
Hey, Red Mulholland.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a city slicker, Red.
You're a city slicker.
And I haven't seen too many cowboys in my life. I mean, about the closest I've come is
me.
Is Paul Aaron here.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. And, Red, tell me something. What do you do for a living?
I'm a saddle maker.
You make saddles. Are there any cowboys around that you're making? Are there any cowboys left? Are you just making saddles for the rich folk who go horseback riding when they're in their leisure?
It's a big variety.
It's a big... All right, but I want to know about cowboys, because I'm very worried about the species.
Oh, they ain't dying out.
They ain't dying out?
Maybe not where you are, but up here they are.
Shoot, they ain't never been none up there.
No, actually, Red's a good rider. He let me ride one of his horses with one of the saddles that he made, an A-fork saddle.
Right.
And he's really a good saddle maker and a good roper, although I competed against him and I held my own.
Hey, Red.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me something. What does a cowboy do in modern times? In the 1980s, what's left for a cowboy to do?
Oh, hell. I guess they still do a lot of the roping and the regular cattle work.
Uh-huh.
Now, instead of driving them, you trailer them.
Now, instead of driving them, you...
Trailer them?
Put them in a trailer and haul them.
Oh, so cowboy's really not riding a horse so much as he is a truck.
You know, It depends on what ranch down here you're working on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Some places you can go on and ride for 3 days just looking for them.
Do you like that life? Do you like the life?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Could you tell us what we're missing?
Y'all missing a lot.
Well, start out with the fresh air, for one.
Yeah. Yeah, you can breathe pretty good down here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is it that every cowboy down there wears Wranglers when nobody wears them up here at all?
Because it makes your butt look better.
Oh, Red. This is a family show. I told you that 20 times. And also, you like to hang out at COWBOY's Beer Tavern in Engle, Texas, near Flatonia. Isn't that a favorite watering hole?
Yeah, but Joe, if it don't look good, you might not never have a family.
Okay. Okay, Red.
Well,
now, wait a minute.
Red really keeps those airwaves cooking.
Yes. Now, Red, you're about in a half hour. You're leaving for a rodeo, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Where's that going to be held?
Yoakum.
What is Yoakum well known for?
It's leather capital of the world.
Leather capital of the world. I thought New York City was.
You know, I got to say something, and I don't want to be downbeat here, but we just heard some news over the air that Malcolm Baldridge, who was our Secretary of Commerce, was killed this afternoon in a private rodeo. And, it's an amazing coincidence because here you are on with us, but it just kind of recalls to mind that it's a dangerous thing to be doing.
Yes, it is.
What are you going to be doing tonight?
Fight bulls.
You're going to be fighting bulls?
Well, when Red says fighting bulls, that means he's going to be like a rodeo clown to protect the competing cowboys from getting hurt.
Okay. Hey, Red.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't want to lose you with your purple boots, and you probably got red hair.
Yeah.
And it's always under your cowboy hat. Can you just stand by, and we'll maybe talk to you again in a few minutes?
Okay.
You're tuned to McCann's, New York, up here in the east, the far east. 570 WMCA. Get ready for your Cowboy Joe quiz. Get ready for Cowboy Joe. This is Patricia McCann, McCann's, New York. Cowboy Joe.
You have to wait till the song.
All right, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, sing it. Sing your heart out.
Well, if they fade it out, I can't sing it. But let's go.
All right, boys. Now here we go. We have
serious.
This is serious because we do have a quiz. We love to quiz on a Saturday night. It's fun to do. And I know you got a question up your sleeves. And I'm going to tell you what the prize is. It's going to be, and it's so appropriate. It's going to be a pair of tickets to Big River.
I thought you said it was going to be a swim up the Big River in the Hudson.
No, it's going to be a pair of tickets to Big River, which is a Broadway offering. And Cowboy Joe, you want to shoot. Give us the question.
Oh, okay. Well, this is easy for all you Eastern folk out there. No Westerners allowed to call up and give an answer, but this is a question regarding saddles. What's the main difference between an English and a Western saddle?
The main difference.
The main
there
difference.
There are several differences, but you want the main
difference. And it's a big difference.
And it's a real big one. Thank you, Cowboy Joe. 212-570-WMCA. That's the number to call.
How many lines do you have? I just see one light blinking.
All right, the lights are coming in. They're all coming in. 212-570-WMCA. What is the main difference between an English saddle and what's the other one?
And a Western saddle.
Western saddle. All right.
The difference between agony and ecstasy, I guess. But
don't give anything away. Don't give anything away.
We only have 4 calls coming in, and we have 10 lines. And come on, all you Eastern.
Here they come. Here they come on, Cowboy. Show Cowboy Joe.
Come on,
he's not the only cowboy in this town.
We have ratings to maintain. Come on.
212-570-WMCA. All right. I don't know whether we're getting we got Barry Lane at the controls here, and Ben. Okay,
and Barry's pulling out his hair.
All right, here we go. Let's take our first caller in on McCann's, New York, 570 WMCA. What's your answer? Hello.
Hello.
You're on.
Western saddle rides frontwards and English sideways.
What? I'm not talking about side saddles.
Hey, but listen.
Oh, come on.
No, thanks a lot for calling. Let's take our next caller in. You're on 570. Hello.
Yes, the English saddle is flat and the Western has the knob.
Knob? Well, I don't live in San Francisco. I don't live on Knob Hill, although that's the physical description.
Yeah, the grip.
The grip. Well, that's in show business.
Do you want the exact word for what it is?
Yes, I want the exact word. I'm sorry.
Well, you say
that.
Well, now I'm saying it now.
Do you know the exact word?
Yes.
No, I know you do.
I do. I'm sorry.
All right. Oh, you stand by, my friend, because you may be the winner after all.
Okay.
All right. Don't go away. 212-570-WMCA. You're on McCann's, New York, with Cowboy Joe.
Right. The Western saddle has a horn that you put your rope around.
Gee, he's got it. He doesn't even sound like he's from New York. Find out where he's from.
No, he's got a twang. Where are you from?
Well, I lived in Alabama for a few years. But I work with horses.
You work with horses?
Not at Aqueduct, do you?
Aqueduct, Belmont.
Good for you.
Florida tracks.
Hey.
He's got it.
Okay.
He's got it.
Now listen, you've got it, and you're the winner. You're going to get a pair of tickets to...
Up the river.
Up the river.
Big river.
Big river.
I keep thinking of the Hudson River or the Cimarron. I get them confused.
I'm getting confused, period, just with Cowboy Joe. All right? We'll be right back on 570 WMCA, McCann's, New York. Okay, now it's my turn. McCann on McCann's, New York. Thank you, Cowboy Joe on McCann's, New York. People can hear you on
WKCR FM every other Sunday. Okay, you can hear me on WKCR FM every other Sunday. Not tomorrow, but the following Sunday.
All right, and I just want to say that in this remaining time that I've got, I want to thank my producer, Barry Lane, for doing such yeoman work with all of our festivals and all of our production. Do stay tuned for the second part of McCann's, New York on WMCA New York.
WMCA, the call letters you can call on. WMCA. WMCA, the station you can call on. The call letters you can call on. 570 WMCA.
And you ought to hear the meter to the roses. I can't help it when that song comes up. Hear him come. Western folks all know he's a highfalutin, rootin' tootin' son of a gun from old Wyoming. Ragtime cowboy, talk about your cowboy. Ragtime cowboy Joe.
Hey, my rootin' tootin' friend Cowboy Joe just wrote in. On
the IRT subway. Which I hate.
Oh, Cowboy Joe. Listen, I was just going to say that you're from these parts, which everyone will realize if they haven't already when I ask you to say a few words.
But I don't have an accent.
No, I'm not saying you have a New York accent. I'm not saying you have a Brooklyn accent, a Bronx accent, or a Yonkers accent like me. Where were you born?
I was born in New York City, but lived in New Jersey before I went out west.
born in New York City, but lived in New Jersey.
Suburban Jersey, Leonia, home of Alan Alda.
Oh, well, that's an interesting piece of trivia. The thing is, you fell in love with the West somewhere along the line, because I've introduced you as Cowboy Joe. You just sang a song called Cowboy Joe. Yes, you do. High noon every other Sunday is a very important hour to you.
Well, that was high noon. Currently, I'm unemployed in the radio business. I'm between gigs. Yes.
You had a show. Well, tell people in case they didn't meet you last time you were on with me.
Well, last year we did this. We did some interviews with some cowboys in Texas, and since then, last month I went to Wyoming and recorded some really offbeat interviews with cowboys and all kinds of interesting characters. And now I'm in the midst of either going to another public radio station here in New York, hopefully. In fact, it's pretty sure that in September I will.
You're kidding. I'm happy to hear that.
Or I am negotiating, or hope to negotiate soon, with a 50,000-watt clear channel station in Wyoming that can be heard all over the West, in fact, in 3 countries, to do an overnight version of Cowboy Joe's Radio Ranch. And I'll get paid big bucks, do a call-in, and Patricia, Cowboy Joe in the Rocky Mountains, and Patricia, you're one of my fans. I mean, or was it the other way around?
No, I am one of your fans.
Okay.
You got it right.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I hope to do what I do here in New York, but before perhaps a more appreciative audience.
I'm more appreciative. Well, you might, I don't know.
New York is too big. There's no real sense of community in this town, as you well know. Especially for what I do.
Well, I think what some of us want to know is, what do you do?
I've been trying to decide that for the last...
I'm not here. I'm not. I mean, when you had that radio show for
when I had that radio show, that was very popular. I still can't figure out what happened, but that's showbiz.
Listen. Now, Cowboy Joe, Paul Aaron is your real name.
Yes.
I don't want to break it, but I'll say your real name again, but I'm going to keep calling you Cowboy Joe. Does anyone out there appreciate, and I think everybody does, because everyone who is listening is a listener, and they have had as many ups and downs as we've had, because they lose friends and then they gain new friends, and it's happening at a pretty maddening pace these days in our business. People fall off the side of a cliff, and I know that there's still some people who don't know I'm even on this station.
Right. Well,
they remember me on another one, and they don't know I'm here.
When people lose their gigs, they tend to think it's the end of the world, but you'd be surprised how losing your gig can be a blessing in disguise. And I've just discovered that. Because if I go out to Wyoming, the people are friendly, the lifestyle is easy, you can see for miles and miles.
How many miles?
As many miles as you can see. But I was out in Wyoming, I had a great time, and I really hope I get that gig on that 50,000-watt clear channel station.
Oh, I hope you do.
Because I'd have a lot of fun. We'd do a call-in, we'd play...
what would you talk about to other...
Well, I think the people out west in the Rocky Mountain West consider radio as a friend.
Yeah.
They, and especially after midnight, when you can hear for miles and miles in the cars driving along the interstates from Nebraska to L.A., where the station can be heard, and up to Canada, down to Mexico. People want a friend, Patricia. People want a friend.
Whether they are in the West or whether they are in the East, people want a friend. Well, Cowboy Joe is a friend of yours and mine, and he's with us tonight. And one of the things that we want to do, I know someone, and so do you. I don't know them yet, but you know them, out in the out Wyoming way, I believe. One of the people who you've unearthed in your travels. You like to keep in touch with all kinds of characters who people the West. We're going to be talking. We're going to be chewing the fat with a real cowboy. I mean, a 79-year-old cowboy?
79-year-old working cowboy.
A working cowboy. We're going to find out if he thinks that real West is dead or whether it's still alive and kicking here on McCann's New York.
WMCA, New York.
Like McCann's New York, and really for the next few minutes, it's not going to be McCann's New York. It's probably going to be Ross Dinette's Wild West.
Brought to you by Cowboy Joe.
Brought to you by none less than you, Cowboy Joe, because you've been bringing the
This
West.
music is so beautiful. Just imagine a sunset out in the prairie, and it's calm, and you have no IRT subway to mess with.
Oh, you really?
No panhandling.
How did you fall in love with the West?
After living in New York, anything is easy,
Oh, no,
Patricia.
come on now. No, don't pan New York. We've all got to live here, pal.
Yeah, we don't pan for gold here.
All right, but how did you fall in love with the West?
Just being out as a kid in the Rocky Mountains, seeing that wonderfully open land. But I was scared of cowboying. I was afraid of horses. I was afraid to wear a pair of jeans. I was just a city boy.
Not anymore.
Until I went out to college and just became mesmerized with the West and the Western music and the lifestyle.
And what about the people?
The people, well, you know, when I went out to Wyoming last month, I hadn't been out there for 10 years, and I was scared to go out there. I didn't know whether they would like me or whether I would like them. I loved the people from Wyoming, and they loved me. I met the governor of Wyoming. I was scheduled to meet him for 10 minutes at the state capitol, and he met with me for 45 minutes.
Well, Cowboy Joe, you're a rarity. You're a very unusual person. You're New York born, and you've become a cowboy in heart.
That's why I was the poorest radio DJ in New York for 12 years. I labored for love, and look where it got me.
Okay.
Unemployment.
It may get you out to Wyoming, but you know, I wonder what Ross Stinnett thought of you. Now, he's a real honest-to-goodness cowboy.
He's the rootin' tootin' kind.
All right, Ross Stinnett.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, well, Rosa, Texas.
Oh.
You're not in Texas. You're between Cheyenne and Chugwater. You know that.
Yeah, I know that.
We met each other. I was branding on this ranch, and we were branding cattle.
Yeah, I know all about that, too.
Hey, now, Ross Stinnett, God bless you. I've never talked to a real rootin'-tootin' cowboy.
He's the real thing.
Tell me something. How old are you now?
79.
Ross Stinnett, are you still a cowboy?
Yeah, man, I still ride a horse all day.
You ride it all day? What did you do? Do cowboys work on Saturday?
Yes, they do.
Oh, Ross.
Sunday, too, a lot of days.
Oh, God bless you. Tell me what you did from the time you got up this morning till the time you took off your boots.
Well, the Cheyenne Frontier Days are on now. That's a 9-day show.
Oh, you got a show out there now.
And they have a parade, 4 parades, and I go in there and take the horse and ride as an outrider to see if they get in trouble, and I have to help straighten them out.
And you help straighten them out. Oh, Ross.
Well, that's what I did today.
Ross, is that the same horse that I rode when I was at that branding with you?
No, it's another one.
Okay.
Ross, I mean, do you go real fast on a horse now?
Well, as fast as he can run, sometimes I have to bend the cow.
Now, what is there left for a cowboy to do in the West? Because I thought that, you know, it's all being done by, I don't know what it's being done by, but I didn't think there was much left for you guys to do.
Well, in places there are now, you see, these pastures are big. They have 8 sections in them, and a lot of it's rough, and you have to use horses.
You have to... listen, Ross, can you move away from the phone a little bit? Because we're having a hard time understanding.
Is that better?
That seems to be a little better to me.
Well, the gal told me to get my mouth right in
it. Well, you just don't get too far in it, because then... All right, what do you do now when you work during the day? What are some of your chores?
Well, a lot of times, we go branding. You know what branding is, a man told you.
Yeah, a man told me what branding is. So
I went to 17 of them.
17 of them?
I probably roped 1,500 calves and drug them to fire to get branded.
Yeah, well...
How do you do that?
You just rope by the hind leg off your horse and drag them to fire.
You do that?
Yeah.
At the ripe young age of 79?
Yeah.
You rope them and you drag them and you brand them?
Yeah.
But Patricia, you got to ask some tough questions about branding. When I was there, they injected something in the cattle's noses.
I'm not going to get to that.
And the other part?
No, I'm not going to get...
Capital C?
Ross?
Yeah.
What town do you live in?
Well, we live 14 miles south of Chugwater and 30 miles north of Cheyenne.
30 miles north of Cheyenne. Hey, do you live with anybody? Anyone to keep you company?
I've got a wife.
Oh, that helps.
We've been married 58 years.
58 years, and it's still going strong?
Yeah, she's a good old gal.
She's a good old gal.
Yeah.
Is she a cowgirl?
Well, sort of, yeah. She raised on her farm and ranch.
Right. Hey, listen, you know, one thing I have to ask you, Ross, is, you know, a lot of people out here in the East, we get to thinking that the Old West is gone and dead and finished.
No, that is not right. Now, there's places there are that they use motorcycles and four-wheelers, but there are a lot of places that still use a horse and still do things like they did 100 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
And there's one ranch that's 10 miles from here that runs 2,000 cows and they have 90,000 acres in it.
90,000 acres and 2,000 cows.
Yeah. We branded 6 days there.
You branded, so that's the main thing you're doing these days is branding.
Well, we were done now. That's over. That's just a spring job.
Oh, it's a spring job. Then what do you do in the fall?
Well, we run them out, ground them, and then we pregnancy test them and dip them and sell them and...
Wait, you dip them? What did you say? Even I didn't understand that one. What do you do?
Oh, listen, Rostinette, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. Let's hear it for Rostinette. We just love the way you sound. You just sound like I'm beginning to feel the way I used to feel when I watched all my favorite cowboy movies, and I fell in love with Gabby Hayes. And you wouldn't be related to Gabby, would you?
Well, they say I'm so ornery I'll probably never die.
He's better looking also.
Well, long live you, Rostinette.
Ask him whether he wants to visit New York.
79-year-old cowboy, and I don't know whether you want to visit New York, but would you like to visit us in New York?
Well, there's too many people there. I'd get lost, never get out.
We'd help you, Ross.
Don't fence me in.
Okay, we won't fence you in. Listen, long live Rostinette.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The place tonight.
Bring back Cowboy Joe. What is this? What is this, the Lonesome Ranger?
Oh, well, that's what you want to be, isn't it?
Right.
Don't let that go away. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's it.
That's it.
All.
Bring up
that's
Cowboy Joe.
Get.
Cowboy Joe.
I mean, something.
He
Just
always
don't leave us
sings
hanging.
rag music to his Cadillac swings, back forward inside.
No,
Here
no,
it comes.
listen.
He always sings. That's the University of Wyoming pep band. That's their song. If you ever go out to Wyoming, that's the national anthem. Cowboy Joe, Ragtime Cowboy Joe, which was written here in New York, in Brooklyn, back in 1912. And somehow Wyoming took that song and made it its national anthem.
And so did Paul Aaron.
And you ought to hear the meter to the roar, there's a Peter how they run.
I think that the West is going to buy his act.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people...
I hate to say it.
I mean, I don't know if this is the best town for... sure, country and western made it here, but...
No, to be honest, Patricia...
You might be pushing it.
Country music in New York, obviously there are a lot of fans of country music, but the city is too big to support a community of people. Now, of course, you have that one famous so-called country music club, Patricia, that doesn't play real country music. And then we have that one commercial station, and I don't mean to be critical, but they play the same kind of music, and their DJs all sound like they went to the same broadcasting school.
Oh, I hate that.
Airheads.
Really?
Airheads. It's the same sound, Patricia, but I bring something fresh. I'm a human being with feelings. I make mistakes. I fumble. I like to laugh. I love to have fun on the radio. I like to be a human being.
You're very real.
The one thing about this Wyoming station, 50,000 watts, is that the GM there wants me as I am. God bless him. God bless him, and he's offering a lot of money.
I know, he keeps saying that.
And you were talking about how I find an apartment in Casper, Wyoming?
Well, I hope you find a ranch. I mean, an apartment in the old West.
I know.
Who wants an apartment in the West?
Well, I'll probably get a furnished
or a log cabin.
room. I'll move out of Casper.
Why don't you find out where Ross Stinnett lives and
No, he lives in Chugwater. I was there. They're famous for Chugwater chili, which is better than Texas chili. I went out to this ranch, and there was a guest at a ranch. I had 2 servings of Chugwater chili, followed by homemade vanilla ice cream. I could not get off from the table. I was so loaded down. It was wonderful. The fresh air. Patricia.
I know.
This city does something to me. It makes me aggressive, competitive, angry, upset.
If you still had your show, you wouldn't feel like this.
That's true. That's true. Can you pass me some sour grapes anywhere? Anybody have any sour grapes?
Hey,
I could be a comedian, too. I could be on the Letterman
You're just
show.
a lot of fun.
I could be on the Letterman
I like
show.
you. You're a real spirit. You're a unique spirit. And how did you meet Ross Stinnett? Another unique spirit.
Well, I was invited. I was taken from someone from the Wyoming Travel Commission, and I was invited to attend a branding, which was a family affair conducted by a couple of families, and we branded. And I was invited, and Ross Stinnett saw me there, and he said, "Hey, you want to ride my horse?"
My horse.
And I said, fine. And everyone was stunned because Ross never lets anyone ride his horses, even his daughter. And so, then when Ross could see that I could ride and keep up with I'm the best rider in New York.
What's the name of your horse?
Oh, the one that I ride in Pennsylvania is Typhoon.
Is that the one who threw you and you...
Yeah, I hear Typhoon now. Boy, he sounds sick. He's been living in New York too long.
He wants to go out to Wyoming.
He wants to go out to Wyoming. Everyone wants to go in Wyoming. Look, even in the control room, they're getting calls saying, "Who is this comedian on the air?"
No. Oh, gee. You're one of a kind.
I am one of a kind, Patricia.
Yeah, I know
Where's
that.
David Letterman now when I need him? The Tonight Show.
Well, Paul Aaron, that's his name. I don't like to say his real name because that kind of breaks the spell a little. But on the other hand, it's the whole story here.
That's my shtick.
Yeah,
They don't know what shtick... When I used the word shtick in Wyoming, they thought it was 2 sticks you rub together and make a fire.
That's the way it is.
Oh, by the way, that one thing they can't understand in Wyoming, they asked me how many cars I owned in my life. I said, "What cars? I live in New York. I don't own a car." And they couldn't believe it. Now, another story, Patricia. I was on this ranch, on this a guest ranch, and we had a 17-year-old Wrangler who took me out riding, and I told him I was going to do my laundry, and he said, "Paul, can I do my laundry with you? I've never used a laundry machine before."
All right. Well, now, there's somebody who seems to be, we have someone who's wants to talk to us.
David Letterman?
I don't know who it is.
Oh.
Well, then, okay, let's see. We got...
Is it the governor of Wyoming?
No,
Who is it?
That's it. No, that's, we're okay. We're okay. I don't know how much time we have left. I think it's about time. You said something to me a little while ago. First of all, you just let out this big, deep sigh. We're all rooting for you. Rooting, tootin' Cowboy Joe. We are all rooting for you. And,
is there no one that'll keep me here in New York so I don't have to go out to Wyoming?
Well, now, wait a minute. Make up your mind. You said you wanted to go to Wyoming.
Well, if the big bucks were to come my way here, I would stay here.
Well, you're going to let us know what's going to happen. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, as you said before. Cowboy Joe is with us tonight.
Where's the music?
Ross Stinnett was with us before. Wonderful, marvelous guy. I just have a feeling that you breed a lot of real characters out in the West. There's room for everybody to expand and grow and become, their own man, their own woman. Is
their own person, to be non-sexist.
Yes, all right.
Their own person.
I'll include everybody in that.
Better not say that.
But you're going to keep in touch with me and let me know.
I will keep in touch. Maybe we'll do a link-up between the 50,000-watt station and
love it.
And 5,000-watt WMCA.
We love it because I went to Arizona for the first time, which to me was as close as I've ever gotten to the West.
Right.
And I wasn't there 20 minutes, and
Before you got hay fever.
And I felt feelings I never quite felt before.
You mean you were able to breathe clean air?
I just got good feelings.
Okay.
You're tuned to 570 WMCA, McCann's, New York, where we all hope everybody gets good feelings.
We're going to break now. When we come back, Bill Gallo is here with the sports, George Maxian with radio news. You remember radio, folks, and Alex Michelini has a look at Parade right after this.
Excuse
me. Bill Gallo with that report. Let's go to George Maxian, a look at the radio column.
Well, it's time for... And Paul Aaron, you may know him as Cowboy Joe. He plays a lot of cowboy music on KCR, and he'll be galloping off to Wyoming after Sunday's broadcast, his last. And, you know, his theme song is Ragtime Cowboy Joe. And, you know, he told me that that was written in 1912 in Brooklyn, no less, not out in Texas. And the same people that wrote the song...
what's happening
the name
here
of the
tonight?
song that
Must
was
be
written
Friday.
in Brooklyn, and the Second-Hand Rose.
Okay. Thank you, George. George Maxian. Alex, you wrapping up our daily news program for this Friday, July 15th. Bess Meyerson pleads guilty to shoplifting in Pennsylvania. That's your daily news program tonight. Thanking the people who make the program possible. Engineers Bob Iorio and Al Schaefer. The producers Allison Slater and Gray Bassnight. Speaking for the reporters and writers, editors and columnists of the New York Daily News. Have a great weekend out there, and then tune us in on Monday at 6 p.m. I'm Dick Oliver. Good night.
The WOR Daily News Program is a Monday through Friday presentation over WOR New York.